What is up, and welcome in to a Sota Soccer Sit-Down. And today I have the pleasure of talking to the man who captained the first ever U.S. Olympic curling gold medalist. He's made 5 straight Olympic appearances, 9 straight World Championship appearances, native Minnesotan, and most importantly for this interview, new co-owner of Duluth FC is John Shuster. John, how are you, man? Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Good, Jeremy. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone's come to know your curling resume by now. 2-time Olympic medalist, of course, the gold in 2018, 8-time U.S. national champion, looking to make it 9 this week, by the way. But we're not going to talk much curling here in this interview because you recently took a co-ownership role with Duluth FC alongside local soccer club founder Alex Giulani. So tell me, where did your soccer fandom begin? Where did your association with soccer begin? Have you always been a fan? Is this a recent thing? Kind of walk me through that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I was from a small town that didn't have soccer. I think if we had soccer, I would have been a soccer player because I just love sports, right?
Yeah.
But we didn't, not growing up around it, and curling kind of from the time I left Chisholm to come down to the Duluth area, curling was kind of king for me. So,
yeah.
But in 2019, my wife, I saw a Facebook post to a friend of mine that said that they were looking for host families for Duluth FC. And to be honest, I didn't even know what that was. And then I'm a Google junkie, so I go in there. I'm like, holy crap, we have a semi-pro team up here in Duluth.
Yeah.
And I told my wife, looks like we're hosting soccer players, haha, because our house is like, we have our basement that we pretty much don't use, that we have room. And B, she had a few foreign exchange students growing up and had awesome experiences.
Yeah.
And before you know it, I think I was in China at the time playing in a World Cup curling event. And I think it was like beginning of May. And when I got home, we had 3 soccer players living at our house. But that experience was amazing, having them living with us and going to the games. Started to start understanding the sport, and then fall in love with the sport a little bit. And one of our neighbors and some of our best friends, our neighbors actually, Joe Mooney, who's the head coach of the UWS soccer program, had a very, very successful. So I've had a little bit of help getting into my soccer fandom, but yeah, really just fell in love with the game and the people a lot like I did with curling when I was a kid.
I guess, how familiar were you? I mean, before the host family, you had no idea that Duluth FC was even really a thing. So, I mean, how did you get from host family to looking into this ownership role? I guess, how long has this process of, considering it, pursuing it, knowing the opportunity was even there, kind of when did that start to where we are now?
So after we hosted for a year and get to know the previous owner, Tim Sasson, at games. And then I remember sitting down, having breakfast with Tim, and he really wanted to get some people around him, knowing the size he was, that the club was starting to get. We were starting to get, 300, 400, 500 fans at games, and it was growing, and it was great. I mean, it is great. And yeah, sitting down with him, started becoming like more involved and, getting to know the coaches a little bit. And actually when Tim took his promotion or got reassigned down to the Minneapolis area, he approached me saying, hey, I'm going to have to sell the team because it's going in a great direction and I'm not going to be able to, do what I had been doing. So, would you be interested in, either A, buying it, which, I mean, I would have loved to buy it solo probably, but not not the right time in our lives. We got 9-year-olds and 7-year-old kids that are both now soccer players as well. But I said, if I could get involved with, whether it be a group or another owner kind of thing. And that's where, I think it was actually Tim who said, I'd like to introduce these guys because I know they're both very interested in being involved in ownership. And yeah, from my first meeting with Alex, or my other co-owner, it was pretty evident that he had the passion and the one thing we've always lacked is notoriety. And I think, there's a lot of people just like me that, still don't know we exist. I think we think maybe about 20% of our area knows we're even a thing. And, even coming to the table with that and a little bit of, my history in the athletics in our area would help raise that, get our platform to be bigger than just the intense soccer community in our area to expand it, because our product is amazing. Everybody I've ever taken to a game is like, holy cow, I did not realize we had this quality of soccer available for us in our hometown.
You'd be amazed, even here in the Twin Cities, people say that about Minnesota United, and that's MLS, right? Like, oh, I barely knew that this team existed, and then you take them to a game, and all of a sudden they're hooked, right? All you got to do is expose them to the game that one time, and all of a sudden that snowball effect really starts to roll. So, speaking of Alex, how long have you known him? Did you guys just meet each other during this process? Had you known him prior? How did you get connected with Alex?
I mean, I've known who he is because, he's been tied to some other, things that, besides being a well-known member of our community, he's been tied to some other things that, but I'd never met him prior to that one day when Tim said, hey, you guys should talk. But Chris Belize, who plays third on my curling team, is really, really good friends with his son. And so, I think that connection really helped bridge that gap for familiarity, where he knows a lot, more. He knows more about me probably than, just reading in the papers or seeing on TV or whatever like that. So, but that was my first intro to him, but it's been awesome. I mean, you never know when connections like that are going to happen, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think we find that at the curling rink all the time, where you sit down with somebody after a game that you never met before, and all of a sudden they become one of your people. And it felt like that from the get-go, from the first time I met Alex.
For sure. Let's look ahead now. Obviously, this is going to be a process and take some time. I mean, you literally just took over the team in a sense. But where do you see this club going over the next 5-10 years? You talk about increasing the notoriety in the community, but are there any specific short and or long-term plans that you guys have in mind, or are you still kind of flesh those out a little bit?
I mean, obviously that's going to be a flesh out process, but I think, the first thing we want to make sure we do this year is keep that continuity. We had a great team last year. I mean, it was evident, not just from results, but, you watched games and we had a great team, and we have a great coaching staff in place. And through this process, I got to know Charlie, our general manager too. And he is passionate, and he had all of his ducks in a row. And so I think knowing that we could have that continuity, which was also one of the things with, Alex and I purchasing the club, that we were going to have that continuity, was really important. And I think, we're not afraid to try to grow, not just at our level, but I mean, short-term plans here is to increase attendance and make sure more people know about us. And when we do that, I think, the other things that come, we tinkered around with an academy team a few years back, I think maybe just 2 years ago. That's something that for us, we really just want to use our platform as a team and as a successful team to transfer that success and that knowledge of the game, and the skill development down to our youth levels too.
Yep.
So partnering with all of our youth, I mean, we have a bunch of youth programs that are all in a very close area, and providing resources, and whether it be via camps or academies, is going to be very important. And that's definitely one of our main goals, is to unite our soccer community, city to city, club to club, to be, like Minnesota United has done down in the cities. I mean, I know there's a lot of really good soccer programs down there, and I think Minnesota United, if you go to any games down there, everybody has United gear on, and it actually feels like a family as opposed to rivalries. And that's our hope to do in Duluth in the short and long term.
Definitely. Do you look at any other clubs, whether it be professional or amateur, that you sort of, want to maybe model Duluth after, or are you already maybe taking inspiration from some things some other clubs are doing and say, hey, that'd be cool if we could do that, or maybe we could take that and use it for Duluth? Anything like that?
I mean, not necessarily. I think, for me, it's taking, I flipped a coin actually at the United game last year when we played Austin in August, and which, by the way, coin flip victory. Just going to say that.
There you go. There you go.
But yeah, when you go down to United game and you see that it's a full experience, like from the time you pull up outside of the stadium, they have all kinds of events and games going on. Not like we're going to be able to do that quite as scaled, but you go to, UWS soccer games, and at halftime, they always have, last year they had like a Culver's kick for, win Culver's for a year, kicking into a small net from whatever. And, really creating an experience, not just the game going along with it, is something I think we're definitely, going to model after what the Minnesota United have absolutely in spades. But obviously other amateurs, I haven't got a chance to talk too much like other owners and general managers, around the country. I've seen them on some Zoom calls. I'm doing some NPSL university stuff, so I'm learning the ins and outs of the league and see all these people. And I imagine we'll use that community in the future, whether it be owners meetings, like I know there was one in November that Alex attended, and try to figure out, best practices and things that people are excited about, and how you get share your product with the world the best you can, and to be, have a great experience for fans.
Anything going through kind of like the educational aspect of, you mentioned the NPSL University. I'm sure you're going through a lot of like soccer education just in general as you're doing this. Anything specific stand out to you in that process, or maybe that you really didn't know before that you're learning, or just something that maybe DFC fans can sort of see maybe put into place as we move forward into 2023?
I mean, the learning curve is going to be, steep, but that's why we lean on Charlie and John, our coach, because, they've been through this, they've been in this league, they've been, at this level for that certain amount of time. But, for me, I learned that, okay, I have my black book that I've been jotting notes down in constantly since we took over the club. And I went to a staff meeting a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, holy cow, there's so many things that these people on our staff are doing that I didn't even think about. So for me, it's just to have an open mind and lean on the people that have done it and created what we've created, and try to contribute where I can to either take some, responsibility off their plate that either they don't want, or they, or might be too much, and to be, a great support system for what we have going on.
Yeah, that's one of the things that stood out to me too. I started this podcast almost 3 years ago now, and sort of really kind of understanding how some of these lower league clubs work in and around the state. It's like there's so many things that go on behind the scenes, and it's really almost 100% a labor of love in terms of how hard people are working, and what they get from it monetarily a lot of times is nothing, if anything. So that's one of the things I think is beautiful about lower league soccer, is so many people are so passionate about it and willing to work so hard for it, to help the game grow. So that's awesome. As you sort of look at what you're doing off the ice, so to speak, obviously you have this new ownership role with Duluth FC. Any other personal goals or endeavors that you're pursuing as you move forward, if anything?
Yeah, I mean, I got a few irons in the fire in a bunch of places.
Yeah.
I do a lot of public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And so, going and traveling around the state, country, doing appearances and speaking and that kind of stuff, sharing my story. But I'm also right now, I just got named onto the pro staff of a friend of mine who's got a fishing foundation that takes, people touched by cancer, on ridiculous fishing trips, and tying that in even with, another guy in the fishing community here. So that's something I have a ton of passion for, is what fishing does for me. Cause I know that's my mental break from life, is I, get out, whether it be on the water, on the ice, that kind of stuff. So there'll be some stuff, in the near future here where that is going to appear as well. I think I might even be potentially filming a show with my buddy who's got a fishing show on our local station up here, and
nice.
And doing that kind of stuff too. But yeah, I'm just always looking for things, because, curling's been my full-time job other than being a stay-at-home dad with my kids, from the time they were born. And I'm just really looking forward to this, focusing on soccer. And I've been focusing on it, off of the ice. That's been, my primary focus here in the last month or so. And yeah, I just enjoy, being involved, trying to make a difference, in our community, in the world, whether that be with, curling, or, sports in general, is some place that I'm very comfortable in, because I just love it so much. And it's given me, so much, and to see what it's given me and how it's happened, and see, I see every day what curling means to the curlers in my curling club. I still curl in 2 leagues a week.
Mm-hmm.
And be able to add soccer to that platform. And I already know half of our curling club has already talked to me and are excited about coming and seeing what we have going on there. And really just, I think seeing how amazing of a game and how community of soccer we have in our town, sharing that with people that maybe aren't yet a member of that community is exciting to me.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you make some time to flip the coin before every DFC home game, maybe even the road games too. Maybe even travel with them and flip the coin. Maybe we can get an undefeated season for the Blue Greens this year. Anything else we should let the people know, listening or watching, know that might be going to games or might be really, heavily invested in the team? Anything else that they should know as we ramp up toward 2023 here?
I mean, one of the cool things I think that our team has going on is, our social media team that does it. These are some guys that are, you know, I could see these guys doing social media at a much bigger level on sports because they're so good. I mean, it's a really good follow. I mean, Duluth FC on Twitter and Instagram is an incredible follow, and even, you know, we're really trying to do all we can with, you know, our live streaming of the games to again, that's the one thing where maybe I'll do a lot more of is looking around at random live streams around the country and see what the best product sets out there and try to continue to improve that because, you know, sharing the game, not just with people who are willing or able to come and sit in the stands. I know in curling, for instance, you know, so many people watch our games, you know, online on TV and how big that is. So, yeah. And we got an excellent product there and in social media.
Yeah, so many clubs I talk to, you know, obviously that's a big portion of their yearly revenue is ticket sales and the people coming to those games. And a lot of the common themes I hear is, you know, it'd be great if we maximize that, but also not have to rely on it so much for revenue or just overall awareness of who we are and what we're doing. So yeah, I think that's a really good idea. Well, John, good luck in your first season owning Duluth, and good luck this week as well at the US Nationals. You're actually playing later today as we're recording here.
Yeah, I play in about 5 hours, 4.5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're fitting in some time for a Sota Soccer Sit-Down. I appreciate that. I'll let you get to it. I know you have some family coming in a little bit later on too. A lot of other things you got to focus on. So I'll let you get to that. I'm sure we'll talk again soon though. John Shuster, new co-owner of Duluth FC. Really appreciate it, man. And best of luck.
Thanks, Jeremy.